draft and free agency have come and gone. And this topic that was so hot at the end of the season has been totally muted without any answer. And that is, who is going to be the kicker for the 49ers? And Jake Moody, if you just said it's Jake Moody, that's going to be an unacceptable answer for 49er fans. They didn't sign anybody. They didn't draft anybody. They made it seem like they were going to go after the draft and add a kicker. But they did add Kenneth Almendares from Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, who was the Sun Belt Special Team Player of the Week a couple times this year, team leader. This guy's 250 pounds, by the way.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
This guy looks like he's eaten a couple kickers. I mean, this guy's 6'2", 252. Kenneth Almendares. Is it going to be? And he was the Lou Groza Award winner, so he was the best kicker. Are you cool with the Kenneth Almendares Jake Moody competition, and then the winner is the kicker, or do you want to see, I don't know, Eddie Pinheiro or Nick Folk or somebody?
Yeah, look, Nick Folk was the most accurate kicker in football the last 2 years. I know that he's 40 years old, but some of his numbers from 50-plus yards the last couple of years have also been pretty good. And so the kicking accuracy has obviously been there. He's led the NFL at 96.7% in 2023 and then 95.5% in 2024. But on kicks of 50-plus yards, in 2023, he was 5 of 6. And in 2024, he was 6 of 6. And that's a player who I think if Jake Moody sees Nick Folk competing with him, he's like, wow, this is some legitimate competition. Nick Folk has been in the NFL since 2007. And at age 39 and 40, still been getting it done the last couple of years. I take him seriously as a kicker who's going to push me, as a kicker who maybe I can learn something from. But then when Jake Moody looks around and he's looking at this Louisiana Raging Cajuns kicker, I'm not sure if he's going to be pushed mentally compared to how he's pushed by a guy like Nick Folk. And I think that's what Jake Moody needs. At Michigan, he hit some clutch kicks. He had a big leg. Regardless of what he did at Michigan, it was straight up insane to take a kicker with the 99th overall pick in the 2023 draft. I get it. You wanted to move off of Robbie Gould, but to take a kicker at 99 and then for Kyle Shanahan to say, yeah, we didn't really need any starters, so we needed a kicker, so we took a kicker in the third round. You never take kickers in the third round of the draft when now a couple of years later we're like, oh my gosh, going into the 2025 draft, look at all the needs they have at defensive end and defensive tackle along the offensive line. You could have gotten a good player there in the third round a couple of years ago. But Almendares, yeah, you mentioned it, Lou Groza Award winner. He was 90.3% last year, and I believe that led all of college football. So he's been accurate. He obviously has the accolades and was not drafted, but this is the point. You don't need to draft kickers in order to find good ones. Hopefully he comes out there, he pushes Jake Moody, and if he unseats him to be the starting kicker, that's fine by me, because if Moody struggles, you can't go into the season with him being that much of a risk because he'll cost you wins.
Drafting a kicker in the third round is just adding extra stress to an already stressful situation. You're taking a guy that's already, in a high stress situation, you're adding that much more stress. I mean, that's like walking up to your kid on his way to his fifth grade soccer game and telling him that you got a 100 spot on his team. It's like, he doesn't need the added stress. You know what I mean? Your kicker doesn't need the added stress of, hey, you got to justify us picking you in the third round.
It's already such a mentally fickle position too.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's not add more juice. Two last ones, or one last topic, two last supers here. We got this one from MSQ. I hate quarterbacks, or I just want to sack the quarterback dude. Not sure who that's. Maybe a part of our Michael's conversation. MSQ says, can the best UFL teams defeat the best college football teams? Let me think about it. No, and no. No chance of that. But just because you're older doesn't mean you're better. All right, last one. And I kind of buried the lead on this, but if John Lynch walked in right now and said, hey, you guys follow the Niners, because every team between now and training camp is going to sign, handful of guys, handful of veterans. Some teams will sign some bigger name guys. Some teams will sign some smaller name guys. But give me a veteran or two that you think, now that you know what they did in free agency, you saw what they did in the draft, you know the roster. Let's throw a few names out here that you think either would be smart low cost trade targets or smart signings that would round out this roster. And I can go first if you want me to go first.
I have some names that immediately come to mind, and I know that the Niners signed Jason Pinnock, who I think is better in the box as a downhill safety, and they signed Richie Grant, who's a former second or third round pick out of Central Florida, and they drafted Marquise Siegel, and they have Jair Brown, who needs a big year 3, but after this Malik Mustafa injury, not expected to be ready for week 1, I'm looking at Justin Simmons. He's a 4-time second-team All-Pro. He was an All-Pro as recently as 2 or 3 years ago. He's still playing at a very solid level, probably not an All-Pro level, but he's 31 years old. He's that center fielder type of ball hawk. And without Malik Mustafa and with concerns about Jair Brown and these other safeties who were let go by other teams for a reason, Marquise Siegel is a young player who just recently made the switch to safety. I'm looking at Justin Simmons. I think that he could be great for the locker room. I think that he could be a really good scheme fit. I think that he can help Jair Brown and just help this defense overall. And he spent his whole career with Denver, went to Atlanta last year. He even said everything was new. Learning the system was hard, but that Falcons defense was atrocious. Their defensive coordinator got fired after the year. Even in December, Raheem Morris had to step in and have his hands on the defense a little bit more. They were last in sacks, last in sack percentage, and so that will impact the secondary. So Justin Simmons is a player who I'm looking at that safety position. And then along the offensive line, I would take a chance on Jedrick Wills, who is a former first-round pick out of Alabama by the Cleveland Browns. He has not played well. He has been injured. You did sign DJ Humphries earlier this week, but I still think you need a better and decent backup offensive tackle. And Jedrick Wills is a player who, get him out of Cleveland, dysfunctional organization with no structure, no stability, perennial losers. Let's bring him to the Niners with a good coaching staff, and let's see if we can get him back on track. Let's see if we can rehab his confidence a little bit. And then there's Brandon Scherf as an interior offensive lineman who has been a 5 or 6-time Pro Bowler in his NFL career, and he has played a ton of football. I kind of look at that as a John Feliciano type of pickup. But those are 3 signings that I would look at if I'm San Francisco. How about you?
Those are good ones, man. Those are really good ones. I would go Gerald Everett. I think Gerald Everett is a step above the tight ends that the Niners have outside of Kittle. And I think he could really help. And I think he, at this point, I think he's maintained his athleticism into this point of his career. I think Gerald Everett would be a nice addition at tight end. I would call up Green Bay because I think, with Green Bay investing in 2 more receivers, they already had a bevy of receivers. They now have so many receivers. I think I would offer them a 26 pick for Romeo Doubs because I think Doubs is a guy they're going to move. And I think Doubs on the 49ers could really be a valuable player. So that's a phone call I would definitely try to make. On defense, pass rushers, the veteran pass rusher can always help. And Von Miller's out there. I'd give him a call. I'd also call Asante Samuel. And I saw today that the Bengals cut Jermaine Pratt. If Jermaine Pratt's out there, that guy made 100+ tackles last year. And to me, he'd be a good veteran. Him or CJ Mosley would be a great veteran addition at linebacker. I know you got some other guys there that are younger, but I don't know about those young guys. I don't know about Graham, and I don't know about Winters, and I don't know about Bethune. I don't know if any of those guys can do the job. It'd be nice to have one veteran inside linebacker there, whether it be Pratt or somebody like that who you knew could do the job and would do the job. So Asante Samuel Jr. would be great.
Double-digit pass breakups his first 3 years. He's a really good player, and he's only 25.
Yeah, I mean, Asante Samuel, you have Renardo, and I love those Florida State guys out there. I think he would be a great fit. one more corner, and a little bit more. I don't want to go sign the veteran running back or receiver because I don't want to clog things for the young guys. I like the young guys. I like your idea of Scherf. I mean, that would be great. Or Jedrick Wills. I'm not sure which offensive lineman. That may be a training camp thing. But definitely they need to add a couple veterans. And Chuck Clark is another guy. I mean, what are they going to do at safety? Chuck Clark played for Robert Saleh. He knows his defense. If you had to go with a safety that knows Robert Saleh's defense, a veteran, I think I'd rather go to Chuck Clark if he checks out on the medicals than go back to Tayshaun Gibson or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
They showed interest last year in Julian Blackmon too. Last free agency going into 2024, he's still out there too. That Romeo Doubs trade's interesting because the Packers took Matthew Golden and Savion Williams, and I love the Packers' collection of talent at wide receiver, but I think what they've realized is we don't have a bona fide number one, and I think that Doubs would be a really good number 2 or number 3.
I mean, and here's the bottom line on it. You could make a pitch for a guy like Dobbs, or you could just wait around and let them cut somebody. Because, count the numbers. They're going to Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, Savion Williams. Christian Watson's hurt, but I don't know when's he getting healthy. But you have Dontavion Wicks. You have McCole Hardman, who they signed as a free agent. Yep. You also have Bo Melton, and I love Bo Melton too. So you got, that's 8 receivers, and they have 5 or 6 others that they have on their roster. So they're not keeping all 8 of those guys. And any of those guys, I'd take any of them, literally. Dobbs, Golden, Reed, Savion, Christian Watson, Dontavion Wicks, McCole Hardman, Bo Melton. Whatever scraps they want to cut loose at the deadline, I would sign if I were the 49ers.
We're going to be talking about the Packers wide receivers down at roster cutdown day.
No doubt.
Yeah.
MSQ says those quotes were from West and Bosa. Which one was better? I hate quarterbacks, or I just want to sack that quarterback, dude. I hate quarterbacks. I'll go with the CJ West T-shirt. That guy, I loved how he's like, I just punch offensive linemen in the face, and it's like that's the kind of violence we need more of.
Yeah.
All right, Chase, I got to run.
Know him well too, and they said he's like such a nice, soft-spoken guy, CJ West, and then he gets on the field. It's like, I just love punching offensive linemen in the face. It's awesome.
I just want to punch people in the face and destroy them and destroy their will.